2.7 million jobs killed, lost, gone. That's the favorite nugget of conservatives who argue against the Paris Climate Agreement. They say by the year 2025, 2.7 million heavy industry and coal jobs will vanish in the United States. It comes from a report that was commissioned by the Chamber of Commerce and said the climate agreement and its restrictions would impose those kinds of job losses. Now, other economists, middle-of-the-road economists and progressive economists completely disagree. They say that only factors in jobs lost in the heavy industry. It doesn't add in jobs gained in renewable and clean tech, and even in some of those areas where they would be focusing on jobs in heavy industry that are cleaner technology jobs. They also say it doesn't factor in what the National Resources Defense Council says is the fact that if you have unchecked climate change, that will ultimately cost a lot of jobs and cost economies if you don't grapple with it. The misnomer here, it's not one or the other. It's not dirty fossil fuels or clean renewable energy. It's both. It's a mix of both. And what is the responsible mix for countries as we move forward? And what are the standards going to be for developed and developing economies? And that's what Paris tried to address, right? When you look at where the job growth is, for example, we can see that solar jobs are growing at 17 times the rate of the traditional old school energy jobs. That was last year. And those forecasts are expected to continue to grow here. Clean technology is a huge focus of China, for example. Even as it's building coal power plants, yes, it's also investing heavily in clean technology. So it's not one or the other, it's both. And how do you manage a world that is hungry for energy? No question the coal industry has been under heavier regulation for many, many years now. But the resurgence of natural gas because of fracking and the drop in the cost of natural gas because of fracking and new technologies has changed the market forces. Market forces are just as, if not more profound here in the coal story than regulation.
I was elected to represent the citizens of Pittsburgh, not Paris.
Pittsburgh, not Paris. Maybe the president's speechwriter was trying to get a P to match the P, but Pittsburgh, not the best example for what the president is trying to sell here. Pittsburgh's a town that had a terrible setback when the steel industry cratered there. But the civic leaders and the politicians and the people of Pittsburgh and the academics, they got together and they figured out how to diversify the manufacturing base. It still is an energy town, but it is also autonomous vehicle technology. It is startups. It is niche manufacturing, much more diversified than it ever had been before. A few years ago, Pittsburgh hosted the G20 meeting. And what was remarkable to be there with all of those world leaders is they looked at Pittsburgh as an example of a post-carbon economy. Think of that, a diversified economy that had managed to wean itself off of just one kind of heavy industry and move into a diverse base that was helping it thrive. So ironically, all of these other world leaders were looking at Pittsburgh and the American model for a renaissance after heavy industry. And today the president is using that as an example of looking back.